Sabina Chege.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to inform my colleague, Honorable Karoli, that I had indicated earlier.
Honorable Karoli Omondi, would you like to be informed by the mover of this motion?
Yes. I had indicated earlier that there was a slight change on the motion that we, at the last, how it's reading, that let me see where to start. Through the ministry, that therefore resolved that the government, through the Ministry of Health, implements the Kenya Universal Health Coverage Policy 2020-2030 and introduce a policy on mandatory use of public health care facility by all civil servants, public officers, and state officers who are using medical cover catered by the government of Kenya. That bit was missed out, and I hear you, what you were saying. It was about the medical cover and medical cover that is financed by the government. But public officers or civil servants, they have liberty to choose where they can access their medical care, whether they want to go private or public. But if you are using a medical cover catered for by the taxpayers' money, then the first stop should be in the in the public facility.
Thank you very much.
You may proceed.
Speaker. I thank you for that information, Honorable Sabina Chege. That would be the right approach. However, it would not be right to make it mandatory. It would be an option, so that if I wanted to use my cover in a private facility, then I would be allowed to top up whatever is being charged in the other facility. But I think fundamentally, Honorable Speaker, we have messed our healthcare by devolution. I think I've said it several times here. Healthcare should never have been devolved. Because if you look at the experience of other jurisdictions where health services are working, they are centralized. And if they are not centralized, there are other agencies that provide the health services at the lower levels, but are controlled from a central point at the national level. For universal healthcare to work, which is an insurance scheme, it must be centralized. That is when you have a pool of enough people and enough resources to put together to run a universal healthcare scheme. And I think the good example is the UK, which has the NHS. Even though the NHS, in terms of implementation, is decentralized, it is centralized in that it is fully financed out of the national budget of the United Kingdom. If you go to Germany, they have both federal and local hospitals, but which in terms of implementation are decentralized, but the funding is not decentralized. In Italy, it is centralized. They have something called Servizio Sanitario Nazionale, and health provision and health standards and employment of doctors and health workers are centralized. If you go to Norway, they are centralized. I mean, under the Ministry of Health, though they have regional health service providers. The same in Australia, where they charge a medical levy and health is provided at state level, but funded by the federal government. So I think we need to have a thorough discussion. How do we reorganize our health sector within the framework of devolution without compromising the ability to mobilize adequate resources by pooling, and also providing all the health workers with a common employer, just like we have with teachers, so that the standards of quality of service, quality of payments, quality of the personnel is standardized across the country. If we don't need any further research, we know health sectors cannot be run by the counties. It is obvious. If you go to all the county hospitals, you see it happening. The question is, when will this House or the government be brave enough and try and bring back health under a centralized system? And the national health, the universal health service or coverage will not work within the framework of devolution, because they are never intended to work like that. If you look at all the other jurisdictions, and Madam Speaker, I think it is time that we had this debate without burying our heads in the sand, that we will look like we are fighting devolution. We are not. It is important that we give our people universal health cover and a standardized standards of service across the board. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Before we go to the next speaker, we have our guests seated in the speakers gallery this afternoon. students from Linas Wairuru School, from South Imenti in Meru County. Let us welcome to the house. Also seated in the public gallery, we have Gesumin Girls Secondary School from Buret constituency in Kericho County, and students from Naibor Amani Primary School, Laikipia North constituency in Laikipia County. You are all welcome to the National Assembly.
I beg to move the motion. That's the notice of motion.
Yeah, so wait a second. You know, your season.
And I ask Honorable Muzigi, the women rep and honorable member from Taita Taveta, to second.
No, this way. The Honorable Sabina Chega, this what up? This is, you're now a seasoned member, the Honorable Sabina Chege. This is your chance to debate this motion. So you've just read the motion. Could you then now tell us what is it that you want the House to do? As usual, then you will ask the member you've appointed to second for you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would say this motion, I've personally moved it out of experience of what I've gone through the public health facilities, having been a former chair of health committee, and I can see Honorable Nyikali is also in the House, and what we experience, Mr. Speaker, even at the constituency level and our villages level. Mr. Speaker, currently our hospitals or our healthcare starts from level 1, which is at the community service, all the way to level 6. And currently in the nation of Kenya, we only have 6 public health level 6 health facilities, which includes the Kenyatta National Hospital, the Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, we have the spinal injury, we have Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, we have Odhaya, and we have Mathari Mental Hospital, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the definition of universal health coverage is a key global health goal that ensures that all people have access to essential health services without facing financial hardship. It is crucial for achieving health equity. The Constitution in Article 43(1)(a) of the Kenyan Constitution guarantees that every citizen, and I want to mean that, has the right of the highest attainable standard of health. This legal foundation is essential for driving UHC forward in Kenya. And the Kenya UHC Policy 2020-2030 gives that the Kenya Universal Health Coverage Policy is aimed at expanding access to affordable health services for all citizens with a particular focus on social health fund, which is SHIFT, to improve health financing and service delivery. What are the current challenges are we facing in health facilities in Kenya, in healthcare system? The biggest and the main one is funding constraint, where for us to achieve UHC in Kenya, we lack sufficient funding for the public health care. Public hospitals are often underfunded, limiting their ability to provide quality services. And Mr. Speaker, I know even in this House, through SHA, we are being deducted a lot of money to go to this funding of health. But Mr. Speaker, I'm more than convinced. If we are able to equip our hospitals, our public hospitals very well, if we are able to have enough doctors there and nurses and the staff to take care of the patients there, if we are able to have enough medication, we might not need a lot of deduction of our financing that we are getting even from our pay slips, and not only us, but by all public officers and anybody who have a pay slip. But Mr. Speaker, even when this money is deducted, where is the huge chunk of the money going for? Is it to the public facilities where normal wananchi, where the people you represent here go to? Or do we find that this money ends up in the high-end hospitals where only a few Kenyans can be able to access and afford, Mr. Speaker? The quality of care, Mr. Speaker, in public health services, especially in rural areas, suffers from inadequate staffing, outdated equipment, and lack of essential medicines, resulting in significant disparities in service delivery. And I want to challenge members of this House. If you fall sick in your constituency, which is this hospital that you can be able to go and be attended to with the care, or will you wait to be airlifted to Nairobi or out of this country? Mr. Speaker, we have a chance as this House to make sure that even yourself your siblings, even the people who are very close to you who elect you, can be able to access to quality health care with proper medication, with quality care, even at the village level, because we can have enough funding in our society. I know we have privatized a lot of healthcare, and I am not against anybody who has a health facility as a private person. They are assisting this government. But do we really want to commercialize health in exchange of how few people in this country? Many public officers, Mr. Speaker, civil servants and state officers use private healthcare due to comprehensive insurance coverage from their employers. This has diverted resources away from public hospitals, limiting their revenue and ability to improve. And if I will do a check now, Mr. Speaker, in this house we know we have a medical cover, which is almost at around 10 million per person. And this covers around 6 of our members in our families. Mr. Speaker, how many of us have visited Kenyatta National Hospital recently? Or do we all go to private hospitals? But Mr. Speaker, the other thing is, these people who will treat us in private hospitals are the same doctors that we have employed in the public facilities. So we end up that they spend a very few minutes in the public hospitals and they rush to the private hospitals where they can make extra coin. Mr. Speaker, the impact of this mandatory use of public health facilities will increase funding for public hospitals, will have better access to health care, and will improve the public health system. Mr. Speaker, I had an experience in the private sector in Kenyatta National Hospital, where, Mr. Speaker, I went to admit my dad. And I was shocked, Mr. Speaker, that at this age and era, when you go and do admission, it is the private sector of Kenyatta National Hospital, which is a level 6, that you are given a basin to carry you, the patients, the things that they are given, the tissue paper, those things that they are given for admission. And then you pass through the accident and the accident place, you go through the lifts. And Mr. Speaker, entering even those rooms, Mr. Speaker, I was shocked that you're finding some old bathtubs, you're finding very old, Mr. Speaker, and you're in the private sector, the private section. I ask myself, then what happens to the people who are in the normal wards, Mr. Speaker? If we put our resources in Kenyatta National Hospital, which is our national hospital, where people used to come out from other nations to come and be treated. I think Honorable Nikal has the institutional memory that even before, even presidents would go for medical care and medical attention at Kenyatta National Hospital. Why did we go backwards? Where did the rain start beating us? That our public hospitals are in such pathetic condition. Mr. Speaker, we only have one national medical hospital, which is Mathari. When I was a chair, we had a privilege to go and visit Mathari. It is in very pathetic condition, Mr. Speaker. That is why we are seeing we have lost a doctor who went to a private facility. There's a story of that lady being struggled, a person who had a future, Mr. Speaker. But because we have very limited spaces, mental health is a challenge currently in this Republic of Kenya. But how many public health, mental health facilities, even at our level 5, at our county level, Mr. Speaker, can anybody, our young people, go and attend and get proper mental health checkup? Mr. Speaker, if you look at Mathari, and that is our only national institution, then I am lost, Mr. Speaker. We have a huge percentage of population of Kenyans who cannot be able to afford going to the private facilities, Mr. Speaker. And I'm not saying that once you have this, you cannot go to the private. If you have your own money, if you have your private insurance, you have access and you can attend and you can go to the private. And if there's something that cannot be treated in the public hospitals, then, Mr. Speaker, that's why I've said the ministry will come up with a policy. I am not limiting anyone. But let us first support our public institution, Mr. Speaker, so that we can be able to improve. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge members of this House because if you look at the education, we find that when we used to have the 844 system, children could go to private primary schools and they will all struggle to go to public secondary school because the public secondary schools were well managed, they had good teachers and the students were passing very well. But Mr. Speaker, we shy away from attending to our public hospitals because we are afraid we might get congestion. And why do we have congestion in these hospitals? We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough nurses. We have had even patients being killed. There's not even good services or even security. Mr. Speaker, if you're able to finance our public institutions, and especially the health services, the health hospitals, Mr. Speaker, then we can be able to empower them and make sure that we have good quality education, with good quality healthcare in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we need proper infrastructure investment and constant parks enriched, which will improve public health services. And with strategic investment in the infrastructure of our public hospitals, we can elevate their standards to match those of private institutions, ensuring that there is continuous availability of health products and technologies that includes drugs, the latest diagnostic equipment and consumables. A well-equipped public hospital with modern technology, sufficient medical supplies, and improved working conditions will enable healthcare practitioners to provide quality services that meet international standards. Furthermore, increasing the remuneration and incentives of medical professionals working in public hospitals to match those of their private sector counterparts will encourage them to dedicate their time and expertise to serving the public sector effectively. Countries such as Thailand and United Kingdom have invested heavily, Mr. Speaker, in their public health system, ensuring that both ordinary citizens and public officers receive world-class health care without seeking private alternative. In fact, Mr. Speaker, private hospital care in UK is 3 times more expensive than public sector care. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to urge this House to support this motion. What I am just saying is that we need to have a policy by the Ministry of Health so that, Mr. Speaker, we can make sure that we have enough funding. If this House, Mr. Speaker, have 10 million cover, times 349, that is already 349 million only from this House that can be able to support our public health care, Mr. Speaker. I want these members to have confidence in their facilities, though health is devolved from level 5 and going down, Mr. Speaker, that when you are in your constituency, your child falls sick or you have gone to stay in the village, or you yourself, you can confidently walk in and find a doctor. Mr. Speaker, if these doctors know that anytime a member of parliament would walk in and they, come for a medical attention, we will have them there on time, we'll have quality services. And finally, Mr. Speaker, for this House to believe that the public health facilities can work, I urge all of you to visit it's not very new, but it's a modern Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital. Just take a tour. Tell me which hospital in this Kenya, or even in East Africa, or even in Africa, can match the standards that we have. The modern theaters that we have in KU, we have the PET scan for cancer, we have everything that we need. And KU soon will have a 300-bed facility for